Hi guys, before I start this video, I just want to give a huge shout out to Del Amo Toy Chess Store in, well actually it's called Game Chess. Uh, Game Chess or Toy Chess, one of those two, in Del Amo Mall in the city of Torrance. So they were very generous to let us host the Dragon Ball Team Wars tournament into their store, and 14 teams showed up, and we were one of the 14 teams. If you have a big team in SoCal, I'm pretty sure you know this, but you can enter multiple times, and it's you can enter multiple times for your team as long as it fills up by multiples of 5. So we had one team, LA Saga, who filled up 3 of the spots, LA Saga A, B, and C, and then we had DBZ dudes with A and B. That's the team I can think of at the top of my head. Oh yeah, and Good Games also got A and B as well. We were the only teams where we only had one team, uh, along with the rest of the 14. I think they were also only one team as well, and we got second in our Swiss. So huge shout out to Game Chess for allowing that to happen. Another thing I want to say is I my teammates, Brian Samuels, he never dropped a game in the team. He ran Trunk Storm, and he did 6-0. He's six. He never dropped a game at all. And then 4 out of 5 were able to claim the bounty mat. So I'll have the picture in the next segment. And yeah, so we did very well for that tournament, I think, with the amount of testing that we did for that particular tournament. So very major props to us. We represented Intricate Gaming for that tournament, but I think we truly represented 1623. And you want to know the background behind that? It's a combination of 805 and 818. So I just did the math and just added together, and it came out to be 1623. So that's our that's good. That's what we truly represented behind Intricate Gaming. The next segment I'll talk about the layout of the Team War tournament and how it might affect the current that particular tournament itself. So stay tuned. A little bit about the Team Wars history. So the tournament, or not history per se, more like what's fascinating about Team War is that if you're playing constructed in normal tournaments, you're subjected to the same type of leaders. So if you're playing against very popular leaders, you're more likely to play those leaders every round. With Team Wars, it's a special treat. This is a like well, because this particular tournament uses a diversity rule, and the diversity rule states that each players on the team has to play a different leader. So this is a special treat because you're not subjected to the same leaders, because every leader has to be different according to all your teammates, or along the teams that you play. So it's 5 versus 5, and then you choose your position on each of the 5 spots, and so player A will play player A from the other team, player B will play player B of the other team, and then C will play C, D and E, and so on and so forth. And then whichever team has the most wins, so basically whoever has 3 wins on the team, will be the one that advances with as the connected win of that particular round. So we do this 5 rounds, each consisting of 40 minutes each. And then the time procedures for that tournament is after the time is called, whoever has the most life out of 5 turns or 4 turns, the turn player is 0, and then it's 1, 2, and 3. And after that third person, or the third turn has been conducted, the player with the highest life is the one that wins particular that particular game. And then if you so happen to have the same life, whoever has, I believe, the most cards in deck, or no, actually it was sudden death. So sudden death is whoever deals the next damage out of after 3 turns. So the turn keeps proceeding until someone does 1 damage. Then the game is concluded. Whoever does that last damage or that next damage. So if you played like intensifying trunks and you damage yourself, then you're now considered lower than your opponent. So then you are the loser of that match. So it's a very interesting rule. I was gonna build a how to deck build deck video, how to deck build video, and this is one of the tips that I like to give. So you have to know what events you're going into. It's also BO1, so you only play 1 game, and after you play that 1 game, it's done. So this takes out the siding aspect of it, and you have to consider what to mainboard into this event. And so we know that yellow leaders using Shigesh and Veggies really get shut out by time control Klonoa, and not many decks in constructed do play that card in their main deck. So and if they do, it's in the side deck, because most big tournaments are BO3. But since it's only BO1, you have to consider, all right, well, is it worth playing a yellow leader? And what are the chances that I'll play against an opponent that will include Klonoa in their deck? So those are the things you have to consider when you're playing BO1. So my deck that I played BuuStorm. So I basically combined the Buu leader with the Storm engine. And I know it's a very tacky idea, but Buu has a very interesting mirror match. Well, mirror match in the respect that I'm playing Storm and they're playing Storm. It has a very interesting mirror match sort of dynamic. So I'll explain more later with the Buu engine or the Buu leader with the Storm engine and how it does really well in the mirror match. But that's off of the tangent. That's in the next segment. But in this segment, we're going to talk about how the team war went out. So when the first round started, we were given our entry participation mat. So this was our entry participation mat, and it's really good. It's done perfectly. It's almost as if it's an official mat, because the way it uses all the super characters in the Tournament of Power. So we have all the special characters. I don't know if I can see all of it. Yeah. And right here on the center, it says Team War right there. Team War right in the bottom. I don't see it. Yep, Team War. And yeah, so it's rendered perfectly. A lot of custom made mats that I've seen players have, the images are always kind of blurry and they don't seem to fit together. But this one fits together perfectly. So props to the mat designer. I think it was a guy named Kevin that designed the mats, and he was also a player in the tournament. So it's kind of funny that he has to win his own mat, or he has to win his own mat, because the champion mats were also designed by him as well. So that's besides the point. So when you go into a tournament, it's always vital to ask the tournament organizer, whether it's his phone number, Facebook, or telephone number. Ask him or her what are the tournament rules, how many rounds are there in Swiss, is there going to be a top cut. All that actually factors into your deck building. So and then of course you have to get down to the technical work when you have to decide what's a good deck versus all the meta. So that's the other half of the battle. Yeah, so we're gonna talk about the BuuStorm that I took. I ended up getting I ended up getting four wins in 1 loss in Swiss, and then 1 loss in Top Cut. Unfortunately, Top Cut is top 8, and there was 14 teams total. So over 50% of the teams that actually entered got into top 8. I had my qualms against it, where I wanted to be top 6 or top 4 at least, because there was no prizing for top 8. So we got to top 8, and when we lost in our team against a lower rostered team that basically lost twice in Swiss, and we're still able to actually win the entire event. I think it was DBZ Dudes beat. So I mean, it's kind of weird that they lost twice, and then we lost twice, but we ended up getting kicked out of the tournament because it was top cut. So that's just how the tournament is. So yeah, hopefully you'll enjoy the BuuStorm deck profile I made and how it interacts with the mirror match. This is most likely going to be for competitive players who really want to see the interaction between cards. I'll explain in vivid detail as to how it is beneficial in today's metagame and including in this Team War tournament. So, yeah, enjoy. What's up, guys? So this is the deck profile for the BuuStorm. I decided to play the Buu leader. This leader is a blue leader that untaps 2 energy when it awakens, and it's basically a Harudegarn's twin brother, in the sense that he untaps 2 energy and he tries to draw on awaken, but not as much as Harudegarn. He only draws 1, and he has to attack a leader. I believe he has to attack. Yes, he has to attack a leader, but when he does so the first time, he takes the top of your deck and puts it underneath, and he doesn't draw a card on the first attack. But on the second attack, when he does attack, he does take the top of the card and puts it underneath and draws a card. Now, that part may put you off, but there are cards in the deck that allows you to attack on the first turn with him, on your first turn. Well, assuming you're going first, and you charge an energy and you pass, the next time you attack with him on your second turn, if you're going first, you are able to draw with cards in your deck. But most of the time, if you're playing the Storm Engine, which I did, he will awaken quite early to where you don't have to worry about not drawing on your first turn. So his backside says that once per turn, when this card attacks, let's see if I can see it, place the top card of your deck under this card and then draw 1 card. His other activate mana is you choose 5 cards underneath this card. So assuming that he's had his proper diet, you take 5 and he gets a +5 and he restands himself and he's able to attack again. Unfortunately, you're unable to draw again because this ability to draw is only once per turn, but that's besides the point. You could essentially, the reason why I played this leader over all the other blue leaders that are able to untap 2 energies is because he's able to attack again, and that plays under the Flying Nimbus extra card. So I chose a very interesting leader in order to counter that meta, because right now we are in a Storm format where Storm is a popularly played engine, and because it's popularly played along with other engines, it became suddenly a game of where you have to survive using Flying Nimbus to survive. And this leader bypasses Flying Nimbus because if you attack with the battle card first and then they Flying Nimbus you, you can now attack twice with him under Nimbus, because Nimbus only prevents battle cards. So there's a lot of little things you can do in the mirror match with the Majin Buu leader, and on top of that, he's blue, so you can access all the blue stuff as well. So it's basically Harudegarn's twin brother, in the sense that he could actually do really well against the Harudegarn mirror match. So that's the reason why I chose him, and he can play the Storm Engine very well on top of that. So really cool leader. So let's go into the deck profile. So I'll start with the Storm Engine. So I started with 4 Bardoks, of course staple. I was thinking about running 3, but I think running 4 was the correct number, because you always want to see this opening hand, and even if you play Successor in your deck, sometimes it's not enough to see your Bardock, and you need to see this in your opening hand to get your life lower down. So that's why I play 4 Bardock. A little neat trick you could do, of course, is the Storm package. So you can go Bardock, take a life, and then play him. And you can keep rinse and repeat with the flute, the legendary flute. Heart and Soul deck, I don't think I need to explain much more about Goten. He attacks, he gets a +1 every time he attacks. And most likely you're going to combo Unyielding Spirit Trunks to untap an energy, so you can keep doing it over and over again. So that's the Goten package. He's a 10k. So I only play 2 Adoptive Father Son Gohan. The originator of Son Gohan, his name anyways, so it was transferred. I only play 2 because he's searchable by Successor Hope, and you can use him later game Well, later game meaning like maybe when you're awakened again and use Successor and search for them. So that's why I only play 2. You don't really need more than 2. The other card, of course, I only play 3 Successor. So I wanted to play 4, but since it was BO1, I needed to cut the 4th one out of this so that I can main deck cards that were good against Mecha Veggies, or just Veggies in general, that play Chigesh. Not So basically I needed Cronoa in my main deck, just a hint. So I ended up cutting this, and I didn't really need to see the 4th one. So that's why I upped the Bardock count on top of that. So that's the reason why I only played 3. So 3 and 4. Pretty good ratio, I think, in the future. I only played 2 Videl. I originally wanted to play 3, but I found that I decked out a lot, and I'd rather play the game where I didn't have to deck out as much. So I only played 2 Videl. It's another swap target if you're playing Bardock and you're playing Sun Gohan. So and she pumps up Goten by 5k. So sometimes, a lot of times your opponent's leader's gonna be at 15k because you rushed him down so much. So you need something to pump up your little guys so that you can play past their 15k and then force them to use Sensor Beam to survive. Next up, Secret Tech. I played Jean, the Family of Justice. I originally was against this, but 2 of my teammates told me that it's really good to play free blockers from the perspective of playing the attrition game against Storm. She ended up being okay. She didn't really do much for me personally, but I can see where they're coming from, where you could play it for free. So your opponent will think you're tapped out or just have 1 energy and you can't play much, or you don't have unyielding. You can just play her for free, assuming you have a Bardock out. And then you can swing with her and then force more damage in. Sometimes she can be useful in that regard, or she's just a blocker. So a lot of intensifying trunks will have to use their ability on the auto step, and then blocker comes after. So then this way that they're forced to take a life. So she basically is a kind of a weird take 1 life from your opponent if your opponent's playing Kaba or intensifying trunks. So a very nifty card in that regard. Next up, I only play 1 Bardock, just because of the mirror match. I think I need something to win the mid to late game, and he's going to be useful for the mid to late game. Oftentimes I would combo on my leader attack, Awaken, assuming, with a Bardock out, and then he would hit for 25 by comboing the Bardock, and then my Bardock would evolve on top of this Bardock, and then I would have a blocker double striker. So knowing that, I played 2 Planet Vegeta so that I can restand after him attacking. So I have a mini 8 engine, so that's why I played the Planet Vegeta. Planet Vegeta also helps me see the Goten. So Goten is only a 4-of in the deck, and Planet Vegeta makes it so he's a 6-of. So you can search for him whenever I need it. In the event that I already have all the Gotens I need, I can use this to search for him or Jean. So a lot of synergy. You only playing 2. I didn't want to play too many extra cards, so that's why I only played 2 Planet Vegetas. So Planet Vegeta was a pretty nifty card, but you don't want to skip a turn playing this card. So because you're working with so little energy that you need to make sure that you're not using your Planet Vegetas, all 4 of your Planet Vegetas, in the event that you draw all 4 of them. So oftentimes it became a discard fodder for Flying Nimbus because, well, hint, I'm going to play that card, obviously. So that was for my other. So I played only 3 Flying Nimbus. Reason why I played 3 is because I play other extra cards that could stop Flying Nimbus, or other extra cards that do the same thing as Nimbus. So you must be wondering what those 3 extra cards are. So Nimbus is actually very vital for the mirror match, only because they're going to try to rush you down. So if you have a board, assuming you have 2 Gotens on the board in rest mode, the defining card that will help you see another turn of your Storm is Flying Nimbus. You just basically pitch card and it ends their turn, and then you do the same thing, and if they Flying Nimbus you, then it's basically it's basically a battle of Flying Nimbus. So that's just how the mirror match works. And of course, to beat the Flying Nimbus, I had to play 1 Battering Laser. The reason why I only play one is that I can search for, or I can see it more often using his top 3 ability, and then I could just simply add it to my hand. Flying Nimbus actually won me a game against a blue-red Zamasu deck. Yeah, right, Zamasu. And he had 1 blue open, and he tried to play Whis on a defining attack. And then I pitched a yellow, and then I went in for game. So a very clutch card. You only need 1. I don't think you need 2, only because you don't want to play too many extra cards. You need to play some battle cards so you can combo onto go 10 to hit for 15 in the storm engine. So just a tip, if you're building this deck differently, the BuuStorm differently, you need to play less extra cards and just enough extra cards to where you can combo your go 10 to 15k. So battering laser. So that's all from a yellow. So let's see if I can make this more neater. Okay, that's all from my yellow. So now I'm gonna go in the blue. So the blue, I think it's there's more blues in this deck than there are yellow, and for good reasons. First off, I'll start with the super combo. You need this. I was considering playing Kibito Kai 2 and 2, but I just think he's just better off in general, especially if you're playing BO1. I think it's just better to play BuuStack Piccolo because he's just generally good for most situations. I thought about Kibito, but it wasn't something that I considered. Next up, I played Senzu Bean. You need to untap energy if you want to rush your opponent. It's a really good offense and it's a great defense card. It's also a defining card in the mirror match. So I had this and that to define the mirror match. Because the storm package relies on hitting your opponent, assuming that they didn't have Senzu Bean. So most of the time I try to push past Senzu Bean, but other times I just had to respect the Senzu Bean and stop attacking. Next up, I played 4 Unyielding. Of course, you need 4 Unyielding. It's also something you could fetch off of often with Goten off the top 3. You're always going to try to get this card off and then untap an energy with him so that you can play a Bardock, or you can play Sun Goten or Gohan. That's free, assuming that you have 4 or less life. So oftentimes, I often went down to 3, 2, and 1. Just so that I can finish off my opponent easier. So sometimes I just play Bardock instead of Sun Gohan because I didn't care about the life that I was at because I knew that was going to be my last turn. Next up, I played 4 Legendary Flute, Staple, and it actually has synergy with Jean as well. So if you have a Bardock out, you can keep playing Jean and then swap it out, assuming that you didn't draw your Goten or your Bardock, or just the engine that you needed to go forward. So definitely a good card. That's why it's being limited to 1. So the defining card in the mirror match, the reason why I didn't play 4 Nimbus was because I played a special card that only Majin Buu leader can use, and that was Buu Makes You Cookie. When I first read this card, when it first came out in I believe Crossworld, well, let's read out the card first. So the card says that you negate the attack. Then, if your leader is Majin Buu, you may place 1 card from your hand into the drop area. And if you do so, choose one of your opponents. Choose one of your Majin Buu, which is going to be your leader mostly, and then choose one of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 3 or less. Place the chosen opponent's battle card underneath the chosen Majin Buu. So in the event that you play other Majin Buus, you can slip it underneath, but there's actually no point in doing that. You want to do it for your leaders so that when you go first, so assuming you go first, you charge a blue energy. So let's hypothetically speak about the blue energy. So let's say you charge this card, a blue energy, and then they attack you with their storm engine or whatever. You go Majin Buu, or Buu Makes You Cookie, and you slip let's say it was a Goten that attack you. You slip the card underneath Majin Buu. And then the next time you attack with Majin Buu, you slip a card underneath Majin Buu, right? So the top of the deck into Majin Buu, and then you draw a card because he states that you have to have 2 cards underneath him, 2 or more cards underneath him to draw a card. That's just some rare situations. So you could do that. So mainly I play this card so that I could do really well against the mirror match, just for the sake that it takes off the Goten off the board, and if they have flutes, they can't recycle Goten back to their hand. So it's a very defining card in the mirror match, and so that's why I played this particular leader, because of this card and the fact that it plays under Nimbus pretty well. So for that one clutch turn. So yeah, that was my blue package. So that's blue yellow, blue yellow. The next cards I played are adage cards such as Champa. I only played two. I didn't want to play three because I played two Scientist Foods, which I will show you right now. Yeah, I played two Scientist Foods, so I already had 4 double strikers, including a Bardock ape that could do double strikes. So in the event that they had two or less life. Scientist Fu ended up grabbing me a lot of games. He's a great finisher, as you may know already. So he's a really great finisher, and he adds 2 cards to your hand after you play him. So really great card. The next cards I play is Cronoa, obviously. I didn't want to auto lose to Veggies. I've tested with the Veggies, and if you're in BO1, and if my opponent did not have Cronoa when I tested with Veggies, they would auto lose no matter what engine they were playing. So they would play the Storm engine, and if I played the Storm engine and my opponent played the Veggie engine, or I played the Veggie engine and they played the Storm engine, 9 times out of 10, Shigesh into Kale would definitely win you the game more often than not. So that's why I played 2. I didn't want to auto lose to Veggies. So you definitely need some stoppage to the BO1 format where Veggies can run rampant. Mecha Veggies can run rampant. So when I was testing with this deck, I often ran into a wall, which was awe-inspiring Vegeta. So I needed a way to cleverly deal with Vegeta. I can either prevent it, using Force Ejection Mass Saiyan, but I ended up going against it. I'd rather deal with the situation than prevent it, only because preventing things is kind of like it's like guessing. It's a guessing game, and they might not even have it. So I ended up playing one of Brian Samuel's favorite tech, which was Mirror's Creator Absorb, mainly because he can get over Vegito without actually comboing. That's one main reason I played him. But the other reason why I played him is if they're at 2 life, I can attack with him and then combo it with Champa to finish off the game. That's what I try to do. And sometimes I'll even I'll double strike my opponent using Champa, and then combo a little more, and they'll think that I'm being stupid, so they'll take the 2 life, and then I'll finish off the game with Mira. And Mira hits for like lots of damage. In the event that they try to negate Mira's attack using like Whis Coercion or Nimbus, then I will simply play Battering Laser, which I did play in the main board. Yeah, so this deck has a lot of like intricacies for how to do well in BO1 tournaments, especially Team War. And with Team Wars, a lot of blue leaders. I played mostly blue leaders, so they're just experimenting with and I think I was the only Boo player, because I guess they didn't consider the fact that Boo was a contender in Team Wars tournament with diversity rule. Even outside of Team Wars, when there's no diversity rule, I even think he's a pretty decent leader against the BuuStorm match. So this deck serves 2 functions. I would probably change out the 2 Cronoas in BO1 from to BO3 to side decking it. Mainly because you don't need that, and you need more yellow energies so you can charge. As the tournament progressed, I did have trouble finding yellow energy to charge on my first turn, believe it or not, because I already opened up with 2 of these, and then the rest were blues. So oftentimes I had to charge a blue first turn, and sometimes I didn't want to do that. I'd rather just charge a yellow first. But blue is fine. It's just not optimal. Actually, it might be more optimal to charge a blue or yellow, because when you do charge a blue, you have access to Sensu Bean, and Boo makes you cook. So that's assuming you were first. So yeah, that was my deck profile. I'm gonna go over my matchups. I'm gonna go over my matchups in the next video, or in the next segment of the video. Hey guys, so this is gonna be the matchup portion of the video. First round I played Sun Gohan. It was against DBZ Dudes, Team A. They were playing, or I think they all decided to play blue leaders. I think only one guy decided to play Veggies. I played, I think his name is Miguel, who played Sun Gohan, and I thought that was kind of a weird choice, considering that Sun Gohan does draw a lot. But the reason why I didn't find him most appealing was because he has to play a U7 battle card first before you can combo with him, and then draw 2 cards. So that kind of puts you back as a blue player, because you want to be using your energy very efficiently to play the Storm package. So, but the funny thing is, he didn't even play the Storm package. So, um, I think he just went to choose a different leader or different strategy altogether, which was the Kaba Rush strategy, and using the U7 stuff. Um, so fortunately, I do know how to play against that deck. I played a lot against my teammates or the people who I played both before in my locals. They do like the Sun Gohan leader a lot, and they tend to rely on battle cards being alive. So I used Boo Makes You Cookie so that they wouldn't have a battle card to combo with in the event that they played another battle card. So it came down to the wire actually, because Miguel is kind of a decent player, and so he had one energy open, which was a blue energy, and he attacked with his Sun Gohan leader into my leader, Awaken, and he had a Goku out in active mode, the Ready to Fight Goku out in active mode, and I made the decision to activate Boo Makes You Cookie on the Gohan attack because I only had 2 life, and I was afraid that he might have used Unyielding Trunks to untap an energy and then use Champa to kill me. And I looked at my hand and I didn't have enough combo power to, I wouldn't have enough combo power to stop that double striking attack. So I ended up taking the risk to negate Son Gohan's attack, tapping out, using Boo Makes Cookie, and then absorbing the Ready to Fight Goku so that he didn't have another battle card. His only win condition there at that point was to use Scientist Fu, tapping out his last energy and attacking with it and killing me. But I had to make a hard read in assuming that he did not have Scientist Fu or he didn't play Videl, which is the free blocker that you can play. I had to make that read and assume that he didn't have those two. To go in with Videl and then use Unyielding Trunks to use Champa and all that stuff. So there was a lot of ways that matchup could have gone sideways, but unfortunately for me, he didn't have the Videl or the Scientist Fu to finish me off. Heck, he could have just had any overwhelm card just to kill me, because I'm sure he had Unyielding and Champa in his hand to finish me off. He ended up draining all my super combos in one attack in that matchup prior to that turn, where he attacked with his Kaba and he combo all the way to like 50 or something or 45, using his super combos, and I had to use 3 of my super combos out of my hand to survive the attack. So there's a lot of luck on my end, and I was very fortunate to come out on top of that game. So almost lost, but I didn't. So that was my first win of the tournament, and then I started gaining momentum after that. So after that round, I played against a Zamasu player, and there was another blue leader, obviously, but that leader didn't play the Storm engine. It plays the Vegito, awe-inspiring Vegito, to survive longer. From what I saw, what he was milling using Zamasu. So I opened the nuts against him. However, drawing the nuts against Zamasu doesn't mean anything because they can use their decks the cards in their deck to survive the long game. And I see what the strategy that he was going with, and he did not use the Storm package to dwindle his life down to dwindle his life down to 1, to where Zamasu's at the optimal point. So I tunnel visioned that game, thinking that because I drew God, I was just gonna rush him down and kill him. But I got him down to 1 using Further Destructing Champa, and I was gonna finish him off using the Mirror Creative Absorb because he had 1 life, and then I held back on the decision, and then I forgot that that Zamasu can survive the long game. So I ended up playing avoiding that strategy. He got down to 1, he awoken, and he had like 20 something cards left in his deck, because I had to count. No, he had like 34 cards left in his deck, so I had to like figure out ways to play the long game. And I noticed that he milled 3 Vegitos, and he did misplay. And then I attacked him with one of my Gotens when he awoken, and I comboed at 15, and he took the 5 damage. Or no, he comboed his last Vegito, awe-inspiring Vegito, and I looked at the discard. I was like, how is this deck gonna win or stop the Storm package now? Because I can just simply outright kill him. So I got down to the wire where I needed to draw one of my two scientist foos in my deck, and so I remembered him taking 5 damage and he mills 5 more, and I count his deck and he has like 10 cards left in his deck. If it was 11, I still would have done the same move. And I had Battering Laser in my hand, and I attack with Go 10, and I see the Scientist Fu at the top of my deck. I didn't combo with Go 10. I play the Scientist Fu with his 1 life and 10 cards left in deck. I attack with Scientist Fu. He had 1 blue energy open. He taps it out to play Whis Coercion, and then I go Battering Laser, discard a Successor Hope, and then I combo to 50. And I comboed my Mirror Creator Absorb, and then he got Scientist Fu out to 50, and then the rest of the cards in my opponent's hand were a bunch of negates. So Battering Laser definitely came in clutch in the mirror match. Well, even in matches that weren't the mirror, because the meta is survive against the Storm package, which is to play Nimbus and play Whis Coercion and all the negation package. Negation is also good against like cards like Hit that lets you see their hand, and if Hit's trying to go in for game, Whis is the only thing, or Whis and other negation is the only thing that can save you. So Battering Laser was a very good call for that particular game too. So Battering Laser definitely gave me that, gave me the security for the win. So the next round I played. So after round 2, there was a lunch break that we, because we didn't eat breakfast at all, we were kind of late to the event. So we got in there, and then we were really hungry. So after round 2, there was a 40-minute lunch break, which is pretty rare for a tournament to have. Most tournaments don't have lunch breaks, especially in the trading card competition where the TO just wants to get home as quickly as possible and just wants to get their money's worth. So they never really have lunch breaks, and most players don't really care about not having no lunch breaks. But this particular tournament did have a lunch break. So we went to In-N-Out and we ate, and then we came back and we had to play a team called Team Live Nation. I've done some research into that team or that particular business, and that business is pretty interesting. Where you pay like $40 or $30 or $20 to get into the place, and then you just sit there and play all the games that you want, basically for free. And then they managed to sponsor a team. But the team wasn't getting anything, and the guy told me that they had the t-shirts, but they don't represent that. Even though they're wearing their t-shirt, they're not representing them, which is funny. So they just kept the name, Team Play Live Nation. So that team, I played a Trunks player. Immediately he told me that he has not won a game after 2 rounds. And I can understand that this format's pretty difficult. So he played Trunks, and he didn't play the Storm package. He played the blue-red version. And from my inspection of it, I think he copied Brian Samuel's list because he played 2 Kibito Kais and 2 Piccolos in his deck. So I think he's a fan of my channel, but I'm not too sure on that one because he hasn't really given me any reminder or any sort of like recognition that I'm DBS analyst, but that's besides the point. So we play each other, and he opens up 3 sensu beans, and I draw my Storm package, and I try to rush him after he uses 2 sensu beans on his leader. One turn he used 1, and the other turn he used 2, and I try to rush him down to where he drained his whole hand or drained all his resources, and it got down to the point where I had a Scientist Fu, and he had 3 life, and he had 2 sensu beans, and I made the decision to play Scientist Fu, draw 2, and I attacked with the Fu, and the guy had like 2 cards left in deck, or hand, sorry, 2 cards left in hand, and he had a sensu bean, and he could have chosen to take the damage and got ahead in hand advantage, but instead he feared. I did this little thing where I counted my combo cards. After I played Scientist Fu, I counted my combo cards for a single attack, for a single striker. So I gave him the perception that I had enough damage to clear his last cards, or clear his last moves. And I swung with Fu, and he throws in a 5k to save the damage, so he's left with 1 card in hand. So his next card he draws a Zeno, and he charges Zeno, and he plays Intensifying Trunks, being his last card. And then I have 1 yellow energy open, and I have like 6 or 5 cards in hand. So then he attacks with his Intensifying Trunks. I had a negation in hand, but I chose not to use it because he was attacking with his battle card first. And so he attacks. He takes a life, and that life was ended up being a unbreakable Goku. He combos the Goku, and then he draws 2 cards using Trunks' ability and Goku's ability. So he draws 2 more super combos, 2 Kai's. He plays Kai, draws a card. Kai draws a card, and then he plays Unbreakable again, and then he plays another Unbreakable. Or no, it was Boost Technical. So he comboed all the way till. Actually, I didn't even let him finish his combo because it was straight ridiculous. I had 1 life left too, so it was just straight ridiculous. So I just gave him the game, or I didn't give him the game. I just straight up lost with his 1 card in hand. So I was gonna use the Nimbus on his leader attack, and then discard a card in his turn. But then he would have 1 more attack after that. So just unfortunate for me. I had enough combo power to stop the Trunks in the event that he didn't combo as much, but he did. He comboed so many cards off that 1 attack. So yeah, so he basically stole that game from me. So that was my first loss of the tournament. So my next round I played against Tony G from Super Players. Real nice guy, by the way. Highly recommend that you subscribe to their channel. They're very funny people. But anyways, the next so he decided to play a yellow leader with Shigesh, and instantaneously I just put a smile on my face and I was like, yes, that's why I main Cronoa. And so when I shuffled my deck, I drew the top 6 cards in my deck, and Cronoa was in my opening hand. I was like, okay, I'm keeping this. There's no way I'm not gonna use this. So I ended up, and he went first for that particular game. So he went first. So I kept Cronoa, and I draw my other Storm package along with Cronoa, and he starts his turn. He charges Bardock, and I was like, all right, so he's gonna try to play Nimbus against me, and he doesn't. I think he taps out. Let me think. Does he tap out? No, he doesn't tap out. He wanted to have a Nimbus and a full power energy ready, because I anticipated that he was gonna play. No, he actually charged Bardock, the giant ape. So I immediately thought, okay, this guy's playing Mecha Apes, like OG style, and then so I played. So then I play my Cronoa first turn. I tap out. I charge the Unyielding Trunks, and I play Cronoa, and then I attack with Boo, and then I slip a card underneath. I think it was a Go 10. I think it was. Yeah, it was a Go 10, and he just takes the damage. So he goes from 7 to 6. Next turn he charges a. I think he charges a green energy, and I was like, oh, he's playing veggies with apes or something. So that was a pretty interesting deck. And then so I think he plays. Does he tap out? No, I don't think he taps out. I think he just passes with 2 energy open. So then I start my turn and I draw. What did I draw? I think I draw Bardock. Yeah, I draw Bardock. No, sorry, I didn't draw Bardock. He attacked with his Frieza into my leader, and I took the life, and he gave me a Bardock, and I had like 2 Go-10s in my hand. So then I rush him the next turn. I summon Bardock, and then I attack with Bardock. He goes full power energy. I have 2 energy open, and so then I attack with Boo. I slip a card underneath. I draw a card, and I play Unyielding or Sensu Bean, and I tap the yellow energy again. And then what happens after that? Oh yeah, the first Bardock gave me a successor, so I activate successor, and then I played another Bardock, and then I still attacked with it, and then that Bardock gave me another successor, and I still attack with it, and then he full powers again. So at this point he took 1, 2, 3 damage, so he's at 5 life. So I was like, oh my god. So I play successor again. I feel so bad. I play successor again, and this time I grab I grabbed the third Bardock. So then I played no, and then I passed. So I grabbed the third Bardock and I passed. And then he charges another green energy, and he plays a veggie. I think he plays Kaba, and then he plays it and he misses. He gets Kale, and then he has 5 life. He hasn't out awoken yet. He has 5 life in a Kaba, and so he passes. I think he either passed or he attacked me. I don't remember. And then my next turn I played another energy down, and then I played my Bardock that I got from the other successor. And at this point, I think I went from 7, 6, 5, yeah, and then I went to 4. And this time I did rush him, and he didn't have Nimbus, and I was like, oh my god. So he goes down to, I believe, 3 life. Yeah, 3 life before he Nimbuses me, but he doesn't discard a yellow, and I was like, that's weird. Like he just didn't discard a yellow. I was like, maybe he just drew bad or something. Yeah. So I continue to rush him, and then dawdled down his hand, and then I finished him off with Scientist Fu. And I felt so bad because and I asked him at the end of the game, I was like, why didn't you just discard a yellow to stop the turn? And he said, I didn't draw a yellow, and I was like, wow, that's terrible. So that happened, and then I asked him why he just didn't just charge at all. He should have just charged green, and then he said that he drew Nimbus on his next turn. So he didn't draw Nimbus out of his 6th card when he went first. He drew it on the 7th, so that's why he charged the yellow first. But then I thought in hindsight he should have just charged full power energy because he told me he opened with 3 full power energy. So yeah, that's the game. You just have to be careful what you charge and not worry. So that was another win for me. And then so the 5th round I played Hirudegarn Storm. So this is my first Storm matchup, and I was surprised that those out of 5 rounds I only played 1 Storm package, but that was fine. So he played Hirudegarn Storm, and it came down to, so we Nimbused each other a couple times, but my Nimbuses were better because I had a board and he didn't, because my Boo makes you cookie ended up taking away his Goten. So I stole Goten in that matchup, which was very beneficial, and the reason why my leader does well. And it came down where he Nimbus 1 turn on my battle card attack, and so I had 2 attackers left. I had 2 attacks left, and I used Majin Buu's leader's effect to attack again, since Nimbus doesn't affect the leader attack. So it allowed me to go take him down to 2 life, and I finished him off with Fu. No, maybe it was Fu. Was it Fu? Yeah, it was Fu. So I finished him off with Fu, and then that was a satisfactory win because that's the matchup I was prepared for, and then I ended up in theory it actually paid off in practice. So that was a really satisfying win for me, and it secured our top spots because it was top 8. After Swiss, we ended up being 2nd in Swiss after that matchup, and so it was randomized. We should have been playing the 7th place team, which was the LA Saga. They got 7th place, and then DBZ Dudes B got 8th place. They got X2 for that tournament, and we got X1. So we only lost 1 as a team. So top cut is really weird. So they shuffled it instead of making us paired up against LA Saga, which was the 7th place, because 1st place has to play the 8th place, and then 2nd place has to play the 7th place, which is LA Saga, and 3rd plays 6th place, and so on and so forth. But they decided to just randomize it, and then we ended up playing DBZ Dudes B for our top 8 match, and then we ended up losing ultimately. I played against SS3 for that matchup, and it was my first SS3 opponent. And there was a point in the game where had I just comboed 5 more, he would not be able to block that damage and then go down to 2. And then I had 2 double strikers coming in because I evolved my ape on top of Bardock, being a double striker, and he would have been at 2 life. And so I would attack with Bardock, and then he would have had to use Whisk Coercion, which was the reason why I didn't win, because I went Scientist Fu, attacked, and he Whisk Coercion. And then I had like 1 card left in my deck at the end of that round, so there was no way I could have won, because next round he could just pass and I would lose. So there was no point in playing it out. So yeah, I should have comboed 5 more on one single striker. He would have drawn a Boost Attack Piccolo, and then he would have had a Boost Attack Piccolo with Raging Attacker Spirit Gohan and 2 5Ks. So that's a total of 25, 35, 45. So my Scientist Fu could have got up to like 65 damage to kill him after he negates my Bardock attack. So yeah, definitely made a mistake there, and it cost me the game. But our team actually didn't do so well against the other members. We only had 1 win, which was Brian Samuels. He holding down the fort as usual, and then we just left. Yeah, overall, great matchup. I played 5 out of the 6 were blue leaders, and then 1 yellow leaders. And I was glad that I played Granola against that leader, even though Shigesh didn't matter. He didn't have Shigesh at all in his opening hand. But that's besides the point. You always want to prepare for everything in BO1 because you don't have a side deck in this matchup. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed what the team war, even though it didn't end up favorably for us winning the team war. But you know, it is a competition, and you just have to deal with the fact that you just didn't win at all. So peace out, guys.